Woohoo! Hello and welcome to Apropos, a conversation between Clojure programmers that you can join in live on YouTube. We're going to discuss a few Clojure news items and share our opinions on them. Then we'll jump into a REPL and code some exercises or do some demos. And we have a nice demo today. If you're joining us live, feel free to comment in the chat and we'll try to address the questions. So today on the panel, we have Mike.
Hello.
We have Ray.
Hello.
And I am Eric. All right, so why don't we get started? Sorry, everyone, for the trouble we had starting this live.
Also, Mia sends her apologies, by the way. Yeah.
She's
gone on an epic trip.
Yes. So it was either pack or talk to us jokers. So.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So we have some exciting news to talk about. Something from Alex Miller himself.
Oh, that
Could we just start with the other little kind of off-air thing we were talking about, which was like the shadow-cljs thing?
Oh yeah, right. You did want to say that.
It was because of this funky start,
We forgot. Yes, we had it all set up and it dropped.
Yeah. So, and by the way, we are definitely going to do some REPL stuff or some demo stuff this week. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. No growl for you, Mandarin. Okay.
Oh,
Mike really wants to talk about growl, though, don't you, Mike?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm involved with, the Defn podcast. We had this guy, Thomas Heller, talking about shadow-cljs on recently, and he's a really excellent guy to listen to. I think he's got some good opinions, but also shadow-cljs is interesting in that space. So we were just having a little chat about what the relative merits of this thing are versus like vanilla ClojureScript. So maybe I could outline a few big hitters, if you like, of what he's doing that makes the ergonomics of using ClojureScript a little bit easier. I think his idea is that basically you should just be able to come to ClojureScript and kind of use standard JavaScript facilities. So you can, for instance, npm install shadow-cljs, which is nice.
That's really cool. So I just I was listening to the podcast that you did with him, and I was really fascinated. And I've heard of a couple of people using shadow-cljs. I mean, I know a lot of people use it, but I've talked to a couple of people, and they really like it and say it just works. And I just wonder, what is the main difference between the regular CLJS and his, and why, if it works so well and it's open source, why doesn't that just get merged in?
Ooh, well, yeah, that's a different question. I think sometimes it's about maybe a little bit. I think what he wants to do is to be a tool vendor on the side of ClojureScript.
Okay.
So it's not really about. I mean, if you run shadow-cljs, it's a funny name actually. We asked him about this, and because I assumed that shadow-cljs was somehow some kind of almost like a fork of it, almost, but it isn't.
Okay. It's just a different build tool.
It's a different build tool, basically. Yeah. So it uses the underlying ClojureScript compiler. Just like Figwheel does or something like that,
Right.
But what happens is that it has all the affordances on top of it. So you can say, for instance, hey, there he is. He's on the line. Get him in.
Oh, Thomas, hey.
Hey. So I'm going to explain badly what Thomas's work actually is. Then you can listen to the podcast later. But yeah, what he's trying to do is say, okay, if you want to you can npm install shadow-cljs, which is very comfortable for many developers, and then you can npm install any of the libraries that you need, and then just start using them by saying require string library name as whatever, and then you're off basically. So it looks really, you know, the kind of ergonomics of it, the ease of use is really nice. You know, you don't need to, the amount of configuration that you need to do is very small.
Yeah, one thing on that topic that's a concrete thing that I'm speculating. I haven't used it, but I have used CLJS build. And what happens with that tool, at least the way I've been using it, right or wrong, is I end up with roughly the same configuration setup for like dev and advanced builds, right? And then if you look, a lot of that stuff is the same, you know, between those two configuration blocks. And what I've always kind of wanted was like, can I just factor the common stuff out and merge these differences in? Like, really, the one main difference is
sort of like how lining in has the regular profile, the default profile, and then it has all these others that get merged in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would be happy to find out that I'm just using CLJS build wrong and that there is a way to do this, but I've never even thought about it much other than that. But like in the back of my head, complain about this, like, why am I repeating this config? Because when you like, if you do React Native, then you add like iOS versus Android, like you get this cross product.
And they're the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Many ones. And I think that's one thing that Shadow may make easier is minimizing the config at least. I don't know if it's that specific use case, but.
So actually, Thomas says in the chat that's precisely one of the problems that he was solving for. So,
right, I remember he mentioned something like that. So, like, I'm still trying to figure out like where does it fit in. So it's not a replacement for the Clojure script compiler.
It's more like Figwheel. It's more like
it's a replacement for CLJ build. CLJS build
and Figwheel maybe.
And Figwheel. So like one thing that it seems like it does is, I mean, I'm not that familiar with CLJS build either. I use it, but in CLJS build, it seems like it just has a very simple way of passing configuration to the compiler, and that's basically all it does. And it probably also hooks into your like build profile and stuff. Your compile step and lining in. So CLJS shadow build just does more. It's just like a better tool. It just has more features.
More ergonomics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And his idea, his goal eventually is to have a more kind of, again, more simple UI almost on top of the configuration as well. Not almost, just an actual UI on top of it to make the configuration even simpler. So, I mean, really, it's all about the ergonomics. And that's kind of, as you said, Mike, from a kind of like ClojureScript core perspective, what you want is like a build tool on top of the ClojureScript compiler that can make it easy for people to use. And I think that's really the goal of Shadow CLJS. And that's really a nice thing, I think.
Right. And like, so then another question I had, sorry, I really like this podcast, this last episode you had.
All right.
But now that he's in the chat,
I don't want to repeat the whole thing, by the way.
No, but this is something that wasn't addressed in the podcast. Is, so if Shadow CLJS, if it can do that, if it can use NPM modules, why is it still so hard from the regular CLJS setup? And everyone talks about how it works, and then I try to do it and I can't. It just doesn't work. Why is that the problem?
There's perhaps a question of like, is the ClojureScript compiler fundamentally broken in various ways where it just doesn't work? Or are we talking about like an ergonomic difference where Shadow is just easier to use? It might be a little bit of both. It's not clear to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly the actual compiler isn't broken per se, because otherwise Shadow CLJS wouldn't be able to work. So it's sitting on top of the compiler. So no, he says not. I don't think that's it. There are some changes, but it's not like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So is it simply like I just don't have the right set of configuration options in CLJ build to get the NPM stuff working right?
Why don't you just use Shadow CLJS then?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it sounds like you said, it sounded like a fork that was like not officially supported.
Yeah. No,
and
it's not a fork. Yeah.
if it's just a different build tool,
Yeah.
Just like CLJS build is,
Yeah.
I don't mind using it.
No, you should use it. It's fine. There's no difference with the compiler. The outputs are the same. You know, it's just the use case is different.
It's just always weird to me because I always hear like, oh, we solved NPM, and then I look and it doesn't work, and then people are like, oh yeah, I didn't get it working either, and I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to.
Well, go on, Mike.
No,
then we'll wrap it up.
From just like outside of Shadow, I would like to work on the Clojure script compiler and fix anything that's broken in the NPM world. And I look in Jira and I don't see any tickets telling me what's broken. So,
but it just to me, like, it seems like it just doesn't have that feature. Like, there's no, that's what it looks like to me. Like, I try to do NPM install and I require it and it just doesn't take it. It's like, maybe it doesn't have the feature I thought that everyone was talking about. And then, half the people are like, oh, well, I meant Shadow CLJS.
Okay.
Half the people are like, oh no, it works on this one branch of, the main compiler, and I'm like,
So you can't in Clojure script, plain vanilla Clojure script, you can't just do npm install and have it work. You have to add a compiler configuration option called npm deps to kind of feed it and tell it how to work. Now that may speak to the ergonomics, right? That may be more difficult to do, but that's part of the answer to your question, Eric, is like you can't just do npm install leftpad and have it start working.
Well, right, and I could have been reading the docs before they were updated and stuff like that.
But with Shadow CLJS, that is what you do. You say npm install foo, and foo is installed, and you can just use it directly.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, it's nice. We're also at work we have a few projects, and one project is I'm using Shadow CLJS, and another guy is using just the regular CLJS. And
who's winning?
Definitely. Well, it's different use case, but or a different kind of platform. But I think I think I'm going to change his code to use Shadow. He doesn't know that yet, though. So shh. I don't think he watches, so it's okay.
He does, honestly.
Right. So cool. So yeah, I think he's knocking it out of the park. Definitely big up. Like you say, the naming of Shadow CLJS is a funny one. It does feel like it's almost a fork, or it's kind of like the branding is a bit off to my mind, because actually it's not a fork. It's it's just an easier way to use the thing. Right. Next.
What was that topic? I forgot.
It was add-lib.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You want to describe it?
Well, we ran into that on the podcast before. We wanted a library that wasn't already in place, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we had this exact problem with
test check or whatever.
Test check. Yeah.
So it's like
this exact problem. Yeah, and we'll do a little demo later on of this reptile tool that I'm making for us. And I made a conference talk about it a little while ago, and one of the guys said, "Oh yeah." There's like one or two questions afterwards. One of the questions was, what about if you're on your podcast or your YouTube thing and one of the guys wants to use a different library, Maybe you could just require it on the REPL. And I was saying, yeah, maybe, yeah. Because I figured it was a lot of work, But it turns out, A, it's not that much work, but B, like a week after or a few days after that talk, while I was kind of putting up my to-do list, up pops Alex Miller with a tweet. Ooh, I've got this add-lib, which at the REPL, you can add a random dependency and it will remake the class path on the REPL side, and bam, you've now got it available to you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty. Actually, you've used it, haven't you, Mike?
Yeah. It's like if you look at the way I would kind of characterize it is if you look at your deps.edn file and you can specify like, oh, I depend on this library and this Maven version. Add-lib is kind of like hoisting that up into your REPL where you can like say add this lib and give it the little spec and boom, it's there, you know. And then you can, after doing that, you can require namespaces from it and start using them.
Yeah.
On the fly.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Constraints. Like if you try to add the library, if you try to add a different version of something that you've already you know have in play, then it's gonna not do that. So it's got some smarts around it. But the main use case is roughly that. You know, very simple. Just add this library at runtime.
And it'll fetch it from Maven and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could even add a dependency on a git dep and it'll work. You know,
that's
cool. Just clone it and it doesn't. It's like the honey badger; it just works.
I'm never restarting my REPL again. That's and
yeah. Well, it's not in a REPL near you, unfortunately, but you know.
Well, you can use the git SHA, and depend on it and start doing it.
Yeah, no more releases ever.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm going to make it. I mean, I think Mike, did you add it to Plank, Mike?
Oh, I've been thinking. I wonder if you can easily do that in self-hosted, and
maybe it's not.
So you can definitely change the class path and things like that easily because you know I wrote the code. I can change it. You know, it's not like the JVM. But I think Alex mentioned that he's going to be making some. He already made some sort of change that gives you this list of libs that are kind of in play as a environment variable. Which is that's useful to downstream tooling like Plonk and Lumo and anything that wants to make use of this stuff. They can get access to the libs that have already been included. Otherwise, you like in Plonk, you would have to look at the class path that was given to you and try to deduce which libs or where they came from, and that's never any fun, right?
Imagine what you could add on top of this, which would be like you could have a Maven search engine in your REPL that would just let you say, "Oh, I want this one at this version," and it'll just install it.
Like I want to do full text searches of things, and it comes back to this. Lucene is available, and or oh man,
like someone could suck in all the
descriptions,
all the Clojure stuff on Maven and Clojars, and then know every namespace. And so you start typing up like require, and it's like, oh, that namespace isn't loaded, but it's in this package, and I could load it for you.
Ooh. That's like that Emacs thing, isn't it? Where you can find files, but it does it for the entire Maven repository.
Yeah,
that might take a bit of memory though, but okay.
No. There's a server running that has it all.
Yeah.
That would be
Elasticsearch type thing.
Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is cache the namespace names.
Yeah, well, it's a nice thing about like a browser-based REPL actually is you can have another window, another search window to find all those things, and then have it talk into the REPL that's running live. So I could do that actually.
Neat.
I could do that with mine. Yeah.
Could you like do an iframe where you show the Maven and it just inserts a button next to the Lanigan string that's just like insert it?
Oh, you like monkey patch it, like what do they call it? JavaScript monkeying or whatever they call it, like adding content to it.
Right.
You could do that, or you could. I mean, you could again just using because it just uses reframe. You can just have another little text area, another little window onto the Maven stuff, and say, "Okay, give me that information," and just parse it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the to-do list, that one. You're giving me more to do than I already had. So
but these are exciting times. Like I just feel like there's so much of this like stuff happening at the bottom again, like new stuff. Because there was a time when we had all these like high level stuff like transducers and spec and all this stuff felt like very big high level stuff. But all this stuff being built out down in the ground floor, or maybe even the foundations. There's going to be a new. It's planting new seeds for cool stuff to grow.
Yeah, I think what's interesting as well is that I think it's based around this innovation in the core team that says we need to make a class path with this CLJS, the CL CLJ file where we're using depseed, they need to make a class path out of Maven. So suddenly they've got all this technology available to them. Suddenly they know how to do that. They know how to load all this stuff, on the fly to make a class path for Clojure. So then it's just not too much of a jump to then say, okay, we'll do it in the REPL.
I think Alex Miller probably watches this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he did it. It's like, I'm going to fix that. That's not going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I look at his code actually, and it's not that simple. I mean, there's a little bit of few corner cases to deal with, so I'm glad that he's doing it rather than me, to be totally honest. Because I have seen other people do it in REPLs, this like import type thing where you can just do it on the fly.
Boot could do it before. I know that JVM has tools for that, like making a little isolated place where your class path is different from another place. In the same JVM, but the fact that it's just a library is pretty cool.
Yeah, very nice.
It's I immediately, once I saw that, I immediately went and figured out if you could hook it into the Clojure script, stack, and you can, because it's just a library from Clojure script. You could say add-lib, and with an appropriate macro, you can just say do the same thing, and then you have this Clojure script library available to you.
So you could write a macro, because the macro will run it in Clojure.
In the Clojure code, yeah.
Oh, wow. Right. So you can make a JavaScript macro. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I made a gist of doing that somewhere. But anyway, yeah. So ultimately, if that thing exists, there will be probably an add-lib for Clojure script as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Now, does it add that when you do add-lib, does it add it to your deps file?
No. But that would be the next question, right? Please add it for me. Make it permanent.
You want a --save type thing, don't you?
Yeah, or something like I modified my deps file, reload it, and figure out the differences.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess since it's already idempotent, right? Like it won't reload an existing library. It could just try all of them. Should be pretty simple.
Yeah, then you won't have to quit your REPL to load in new deps.
That'd be pretty cool.
Bring them in,
You
we
just
need
have
to
a
get
watcher.
Angus Fletcher. Angus Fletcher apparently has written everything, so we need to get him to publish his fucking code.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Don't join the core team, Angus, for God's sake.
Yeah, don't talk about something you wrote. You have to prove it and show it to us.
Yeah, we don't. Otherwise, if it's not in GitHub or in the core, we don't care.
Well, now it should just be a gist, because you can git SHA the thing and be done with it.
Yeah,
you don't even need a README. Just put it in a gist.
That thing is going to, we've started to use this thing, and it's going to change how you develop. Actually, this whole depending on the gist thing, because why are you going to especially in smaller shops? Why are you going to publish out to Clojures or to Maven anymore? You've got private repos on GitHub. Why are you publishing the software anymore? There's a little bit of benefit in terms of startup costs and all that kind of shit, but no one cares for microservices and things like that,
That's fair.
You're just saying, in general, Git deps could take off and be the main way to consume things, right?
I think so. I think it's going to definitely go. It'll be quite mainstream quite quickly, I think, once people get the hang of it.
And don't have to publish to Clojures anymore.
Right.
Yeah, unless again, you could do that if you want to, but you don't have to anymore. You can just put your tags out there, and you're off.
Yeah.
What is actually the benefit of publishing to Clojures if you have this?
Well, if you have something that needs to be built, like if your project is a Clojure project that includes some Java, and it needs to be that weird corner case, yeah. But if it's just plain Clojure code or Clojure script code, you can just depend on the code. You don't need to have it, let it be compiled at the last second.
It's also for just internally having to have a kind of a heavyweight release process for snapshots and stuff. If you could just push to Git to GitHub and then change the SHA of the thing that you depend on. You don't even have to like open a browser because you have the SHA there in your Git repo.
And it can do tags as well.
Oh, really? It's not just SHA?
You can specify a tag, and then you can tell it to resolve those tags to SHAs.
But those are mutable. Just want to say.
So once you do that, then it's resolved it at the time you asked it to do that. Like it, and then you have a SHA that you're depending on, which becomes immutable.
But does the SHA get put into the deps file?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a weird feature, but
that is
well.
Weird
If you want, it's a good feature because you want reproducible builds, don't you?
No, you do. I'm just thinking like, so you write your deps file with a tag, and then you run CLJ, and it rewrites it, and so now you have to do a new commit. I don't know. It's kind of weird because like, what if you committed that tag, and someone else is writing it? You have a conflict now. It's weird.
Yeah, we may just get used to using SHAs instead.
Yeah.
I think tags are better personally.
Yeah, you still want to convey some meaning, like the fact that this was a release, and
I mean,
so
most,
does the
most
tags
are not
stay?
overwritten.
No, that's true. 99% of the time, you don't.
I
Does it
don't
leave
actually,
the tag there and just add a SHA?
Is it a comment, Mike, or is it okay.
Yeah, it's an extra key value pair that goes in. And I think you can add a tag even without this resolve tags things. You can just put it there as documentation to say like, here's the SHA, but oh, by the way, here's the tag that it really goes with, So as a human, like, oh, it's the 1.9 release of something. Yeah,
because you want that, don't you? You want that because the SHAs are clever, but
they're pretty opaque.
Tags are nice.
Pretty opaque. By definition, pretty opaque.
It's might as well just give you the code.
You have to put the you have to put the Merkle tree in.
You could have that, right? You could have just like, instead of a Git with a SHA, you could have just some code right in there, just like in a string.
Okay, I think, but we could. I think we've talked about this enough now, and I'm aware that last time we ran the conversation way too long.
That was Rawls' fault. Yeah.
Yeah, but also people asking us questions. We don't want that anymore. We're just shaming Angus, and that's more fun. So what was I did put something else on, didn't I?
That was your demo of your thing.
Your demo.
Oh, the demo. Yeah. Little demo.
All right, so let me read my thing. All
right, okay.
All right, folks, we're about to switch over to the REPL and a new cool REPL. If you're listening on the audio version, this is like very video oriented, so you'll want to go to YouTube so you can watch it. But if you're listening on the audio version, we're going to end here, and everyone on YouTube can continue watching. So let's go.
All right. So maybe it's by way of introduction. Then we have this this visual REPL. Maybe I can share my screen actually, and then we can just. Can I share my screen? Let's hope so.
Yeah, we see that.
Oh, I saw it.
Oh yeah, whoever's controlling that's me, right? I'm controlling it. Okay, I pinned it.
What's the main thing now?
We can see the REPL. Yeah.
Wait, it switched back. Can you pin it for good?
I'll do it again. Yeah, it seems like you always have to do this twice for some reason, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did it again. Let's check the live stream.
No, the live stream looks good. It's just mine. Never mind.
Okay. All right. Did we lose Ray?
Right.
No, I'm there. I'm just on the wrong.
Was he ever really there?
Okay, so I'm just going to assume that we're broadcasting properly. Okay, I can't see the live stream anymore. Right, so I'll just give a quick intro of what we're seeing here then. probably it's just usual REPL. You can type stuff in like I've done there and evaluate them. So +1, 2 will make a +3, 4, and there's a small concession to Emacs where you can Emacs users where you can say Alt and Enter rather than pushing the button.
I think you could do that in cursive too. You hit some keystroke.
Command Enter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't. Yeah, I think you're right. It's in my muscle memory, wherever.
And so what's interesting is we can also see, I'm typing, so you only see, I think on the screen sharing, you don't see my name, but we can see Eric is also typing in there. Maybe I make it, if I can make it a bit bigger.
So wait, Eric is the middle one.
Because I'm not watching on the live screen myself, I can't see it very well. But yeah, Eric is a little small showing there.
So you each have input areas at the bottom, it looks like. But you share an output area at the top? It just disappeared. Now I see Ray again. Yeah.
Okay, it's because I went full screen and it doesn't like that. Okay. Well, just 1 second. I'll go back to screen sharing.
If you could maybe make it squatter, like wider and squatter. I think the problem is YouTube is scaling it down so the height fits in the little YouTube video.
Yeah, you have to take advantage of the screen and real estate that you have.
Well, is that okay?
A little more.
I can't really see the...
Squatter, not skinnier. No, not thinner, but fatter.
Wider is better.
There you go.
That's better because now you can see the text a little more easily.
All right. Okay.
So this is it all sharing the same backend state somewhere? Like, Eric evaluates something and you evaluate something, but it's manipulating the same. Like if you def a form.
Eric, if you def a form.
Okay, I just did, which is kind of weird. There we go.
You just did? I didn't see anything. Okay.
Eric, what are you doing? You're not defing anything, mate.
You want me to def a form?
Define a var, basically. Define a var. Yeah, def A3 or something like that. Def hello. Yeah, very good. So if you do that.
And then if I type hello here, see, then it should come up. I reference it, yeah. And then
so you're both in the same namespace. Hello. Okay. So is there some Clojure VM running somewhere in the clouds?
There's a Clojure VM running somewhere in the cloud. This is like a reframe application.
Mm-hmm.
So this is loaded up from some S3 bucket somewhere, and then it connects back via a WebSocket to a little server on the cloud, and that's running this 1.10 PREPL thing.
Okay.
And this PREPL thing is quite nice because it gives you back a data structure. So, like for instance, I don't know why you keep on putting 1 up, Eric. There's a reason.
I'm doing some testing because it seems like the evaluation is like 1 step behind the printed value. You see how you typed hello and then it printed out the var, but the var was the actual evaluation of the def form, and then you do print line hello, and then it prints out the string. And then after I hit 1, it actually printed the string, and then it returned nil after I did 1 again. You see what I'm saying? It's like a little behind.
It's like a delay.
All right, okay, could be. I mean, like I said, this is not really, this is just a demo. It's not really ready for prime time yet. So there are bugs here.
Never bugs, man.
Yeah, I know. What's interesting, I don't know if you've noticed this, Eric, but is that you have these little history things at the bottom. So you can hover over it.
Oh, that's neat.
You can kind of show what it was. So if you have this here, I can just click it and then eval it, and it just comes back. Okay.
It's like your little history.
It's like a total list, and it's very visible. Yeah. Now the other thing I do is so we have this little, you can see it's a little print power infer thing, yeah. So if I say, I don't know, let
Nice. Yeah.
x1, y2, but then it
Oh,
sort of
neat.
jumps
That's
this
awesome.
over, and then I say, I don't know, plus x, y. Oops, go back down there, and
so that's using Sean LeBron's par-infer library.
it's using Sean LeBron's par-infer library. Yeah,
That's nice.
I mean, it's still a bit awkward, to be totally honest. I'm not 100% happy with the way it works. It's not as nice as some of these par-infer edits I've seen, but it's kind of a tricky library in a text field. So I'm thinking about redoing this. But anyway, the other thing that's nice to notice is that if you send it over the wire, I don't do the syntax coloring here. I do the syntax coloring on the server side because I use a library called Glow. And what that does is it takes in some Clojure, some form like this Eden. So it just takes some Eden in, and then what happens is some form, and then it like syntax highlights it, and it returns. One of the options is to return hiccup, and because I'm using reframe, and reframe will consume hiccup,
Right.
I can just put it on the screen directly, and it all works, which is quite. I was amazed. It's like, it took me 2 minutes to write it in the end, and it just all magically worked. So that was really nice. But so this nice, the sort of funky thing about par-infer though is that it will tell you when things are wrong. So like you see there, like if you put a quote around that y, it will tell you at the bottom in the edit status. I don't know if you can see that in the screen actually.
Yeah, we can see most of it. It says string is missing a closing quote.
Yeah. So then I can put that quote in and we go back to OK again. But
Cool.
of course that's not correct. Yeah. So if I if I say plus x, actually it does interpret that. What's going on here?
You mean the fact
It's
that
just
y
behind. It's just behind. But why is that not correct?
We should get an error. Well, let's say
Keep clicking it out.
plus foo,
right? Because you're adding a string.
plus 2 foo.
Right.
And it says it can't be cast to a number, okay, which is correct. But you'll notice here I have this little thing, this little explorer. So I don't like emit a big stack trace by default. I just emit the message, and I think mostly that's enough for people. And then you have this little magnifier, and it tells you where the error was in this add numbers. But you can also click that, and it will then give you the big stack trace if you want it.
Okay.
And then you can just get rid of it. So the idea is that there's eventually it should catch up with us. So that will be better. But also Mike could join now, and if you join Mike, it should allow you should open a new window, I think.
Okay, how do I do that? Let's see. There a link you may have sent me in the past? Let's see.
Yeah.
This
There,
is really
okay.
awesome, Ray. This will be
It's really cool. Yeah. I'm trying to join right now and see if I can get in there. Okay, let's see. And I'll put in my name. I'll be Mike. And on in there. But I see myself and Ray. I don't know if I'm in a different one than what you guys are missing.
No, I'm sorry. It's my mistake, actually. At the moment, I've hard-coded it to only allow 2 people in to my version.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it used to be 4, but I noticed that, and we can play with this, but I noticed when I'd like the quadrants, the windows in quadrants, like tiles, then it was not quite enough real estate. But I can go back to that view of things. But I'll just add another one, just stack another one up here, So, yeah. So that's the nice thing about the browser, isn't it? You can just resize all these things.
Yeah.
Or not, as the case may be.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
All right, so that's the demo, basically.
Is this open source, Ray?
It is, yeah. It's on.
Do you
it's
want
not
help?
ready for people. It's not ready for people to use it yet, I would say. But yeah, definitely, I've got a to-do list on there, and if people want to help or join in or make PRs, then I'm totally open to that. Absolutely. It's under my GitHub name, and I can in the show notes on YouTube or something, I can put the links to the repos. So it has this is the client side thing, and then on the other side there's a server side thing, which is very, very small amount of code, to be honest.
It's really cool.
Because it just uses this prepl and a socket REPL, and pretty much we're off.
So this would be useful for us for our REPL stuff, but it could also be useful for other people who just want to, collaborate. Maybe like people are working remotely and they want to like try some stuff together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you could open a reptile in the production server.
Oh yes.
Well, honestly,
that's always
you could. Yeah. You totally could.
And you could
because it's just so if you can start a socket server and then attach this to the socket server, then you're off basically. And I'm good at.
You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah.
Not right now, but sorry.
You were breaking up. We didn't hear that last.
Okay, I was gonna say that's an exciting possibility, and I will do a demo of that one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really cool. Like, I think it would be awesome also if you had like a namespace explorer that was here's all the stuff that's there, and you could just click around and see all the defs.
Like I say, Eric, PR's welcome.
Yes, okay. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to stop screen sharing that one because it's not ready for our full-on.
Hey, audience, what do you think about this? It's been kind of quiet. I guess that's a good sign. You've been paying attention.
I don't know how I stop screen sharing.
They have no response.
They're just blown away.
Yeah, exactly. They're like downloading it now, making issues for us. All the bugs they saw.
Yeah, they're probably crashing my server as well. I'll have to stop that in a minute. That's a bad thing about it, of course, is that or the way it works, you notice, but you did notice, but there's a shared secret there. So you start the server up with the shared secret, and then off you go. And it's kind of hard coded into the UI now. But when I do it properly, I will start the server up with a random shared secret, and I'll give you guys a shared secret. So it's kind of got limits in terms of authentication already. That's the most simple way I thought of making it kind of shared,
GDPR
but
compliant.
not totally open. It doesn't maintain the personal data.
No.
So you can call yourself what you wish.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's over HTTPS as well. Everything is over HTTPS and over WebSockets, so I think it's all right. I don't log very much.
Yeah. That's cool.
But if you're worried, sue me, okay?
I'll be refunded in full.
Yes. You'll get your money back for sure.
Well, what is it? 20% of your annual revenue, or $2 million, whatever is greater. Something like that.
I'm screwed up. I'm taking it down.
No one put up a site ever again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making fun of your continent because I have to deal with this now, so it's on my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, to be honest, I think it's a weird legislation, like all those cookie things were. But I think in the end, it's good because it proves that these tech giants and tech in general have to bow down to the governments. And in the end, I'm kind of in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it too. Everything I've read has been pretty straightforward and seems actually reasonable. Like, I should be doing this stuff anyway. But at the same time, I don't like that it's like a presumption that you're going to do something wrong with the data. And so you have to, like, ahead of time list everything you plan on doing with it. It's just a lot of overhead for a small business like mine.
Sure, yeah. Well, I think the problem is that the presumption is generally correct. Yeah,
That people are just going to misuse your data or not secure it and stuff like that.
Yeah. That does seem to be the way of the world on the old internets. So, are we gonna do this other thing, or are we bailing now? By the way.
Well, we still have about 10 more minutes since we started late. Maybe we should do it.
One small thing we could do, or do we have a specific thing in the list?
We were talking about doing some destructuring thing, but if you've got an idea, Mike,
well, there is a cool thing related to destructuring, which is like that you may have seen people talking about recently, which is this new feature where you can use destructure associative destructuring on keys in a namespaced map. So let's say like you have
let's fire up the REPL and
you want to try that
in there. Yeah,
it's worth talking about it. It's not like a problem to be solved, but it's a cool feature that I didn't realize until recently existed, and it seems like whenever anyone discovers it, they're like, whoa, it does that? That's cool. So
shall we pin the REPL?
Yeah, I think I did. I'll do it again. I'll unpin and pin again. Hopefully that does it. It's like you got to do it twice each time.
Well, it's on the live stream now.
Okay.
So yeah, can you explain this again? Show us.
So let's say, okay, so if you have like, you go back to basics, you want to do normal associative destructuring like this. Right. All used to this. And then that's going to be taken from type foo 1 and R2. Right.
Need a space there.
You need a space before.
Yes. There. Okay. And then maybe let's see the result. All look good. Okay. All used to that. Now, in the namespaced world, what if this stuff were like in a namespace?
ABC. Yeah.
Okay. Then the question is, how do you get that stuff out of there? And
well, what happens now if you just do that?
If you just do that. Let me go to the end of the line. Return. Okay.
Okay.
So it does not throw up, at least, but it fails. So let's see. My gut
if you
reaction.
just go on, sorry, Mike.
So one thing I first learned, and this is, I was kind of surprised when I learned this, was that you can actually make these into keys. Right, let's see. X bar. And
that's you could just do it with symbols, right? With namespace symbol.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So we'll do that too.
I did not know. So when you reference in your code, so okay, so you've
that's what's weird.
Called it foo and bar now.
Yeah, so you have like these keywords in your thing, but they actually turn into symbols that you can use at the end there. So that is a little weird. And if that makes you feel weird, like what Eric just said, you can just put symbols in there, right?
But that's still weird. Because where's X coming from?
Yeah, well, you got to
accept
a little bit of weirdness, right?
If you put X/foo then on the end.
Well, yeah, I mean it's because it's destructuring. It's a syntax thing. I always thought it was weird that you would use the symbol to name all your keys, but then the keys in the map are using a keyword. So they're not equal. Yeah. So like, how does that happen? Like,
I like
to me,
the symbols a little better. Yeah.
I like the symbols too because it's like variables, but it always kind of bugged me. Like, when does like I don't know what transformation actually happens. So like, if I do, sorry, I'm nitpicking now, but like if I made this. right? And now it doesn't work again. But like,
yeah.
that's literally like the exact same thing. I'm right. You know what I'm saying? Like it
I'm with
should
you,
work.
yeah.
Why does it work on keywords? And then what if I put keywords here? Yeah.
Do you have to put sims? I can't even remember. Like we have keys there. Is there a sims versus strings and stuff like that?
Oh, is there a Sims?
I think so. There might be.
Well, then that makes a little more sense. Oh, yeah. So I think of the keys there as key value, the keys, right? Not as keywords, as an abbreviation of keywords. But, well, there you go. I did not know that.
Yeah, Sims is new to me, actually.
So all this may seem new to you, but it's all... Hello.
What happened?
It's funny how you didn't get a spec error the other time.
Right.
But you did.
So you can put sims in your keys, but you can't put keys in your sims?
That looks like a bug, actually.
So there is all the stuff that we've been talking about so far is not new. It's been around for ages.
Well, it's new to us.
Yeah, that's fair. But there is a new thing that's really cool. And that is, and I was surprised when I saw this, and it's kind of nice. Let's go back to
the working keys. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me go back a little more. Here we go. This thing here. Let me evaluate that one again to make sure it's still good. Okay. So this is the cool thing. You can then, instead of putting these things in here, you can just get rid of that and get rid of that X. And then this is what, you might find this weird. Put it right over here.
Okay. Now, obviously, I have to try something else.
Yes.
What if I put in a foo?
Yes. You got it. Yeah.
Oops. 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so then how do I reference it here, right? It's going to be called foo when it comes out the other end. But I should be able to do second thing, Y keys, foo. I don't know what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so if you give it a different, like, non-colliding name, like Baz.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll do that.
I see where you're going there. You're causing a collision.
Right, and yeah.
And I don't know what you're supposed to expect at that point, but yeah. So if you put a Baz there. Okay.
Uh-oh. What did I miss?
I think you missed the ending curly after Baz.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yes. And you can also, like you would expect, you can put in an unnamed spaced keys in there as well to pull out the unnamed spaced things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's neat.
It is, I think. I don't know if Sims works as well. Maybe it does, but I never destructure Sims anyway. None of us do, right?
No.
For keys.
Symbols for keys. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the one which is most carefully protected by specs. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
So I don't know any other twists on this thing, but this is the cool new thing. It's like you could just shove it right in the keys thingy, whatever you want to call that. I don't know what the name of that thing is. Little specifier there.
Yeah, that's neat.
I didn't know you could have two of them, actually. That's wild to me.
Yep.
Wild. It's like a whole new world.
It is wild.
And in Eric's collision thing, I'm not sure what would happen then. Like you have
collision is just like
Oh, maybe you can.
If you really want, like, if you need to get it out,
you go old school. Yeah,
you go old school. That's right. You take it medieval. And you go
like an animal. Yeah, destructuring like an animal. Bad.
You should be able to do that, right?
Yeah. My
rename it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give it, explicit name instead of just the implicit.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was cool. I mean, it's because oftentimes like your map is homogeneous in the sense that all the keys are the same, and you don't want to keep repeating that over and over again. So just slide it on over there to the keys.
And honestly, this looks better because you don't have those symbols with namespaces that get removed.
Yeah, it does look a little cleaner. I think it was kind of creative. Whoever came up with this, just slap it on there. It looks a little weird at first, but then you're like,
yeah,
kind of cleans things up.
The code that actually like parses out these things.
Oh man!
if you're
give me all the keys whose name is key, or keys, and then give me all the namespaces for them. And that's a little hairy. What were you saying, Ray?
I've lost it now. Oh, I was going to say about the names. If you're in a namespace and you have like these automated like colon.
Yeah, you could put colon keys. I think. Yeah. Try that.
You could put colon keys.
Yeah, we'll do that. Real quick.
Well, because that is happening in the reader, so it must be before the compiler gets it. Whoa, triple.
Whoa, you've got 3 keys there.
Yeah, well, so since I use...
Maybe that's what you need, I don't know.
No, I actually like to see black text on a white screen. And in this REPL, the colons are like light blue on a white background, so I can't even see them. So I'm like guessing at what I'm typing at right now. And I have to I have to look at our shared thing that's black and white so I can see what's going on. Anyway.
Which is slightly delayed. So yeah, you got some double. Oh, you did triple again.
Okay.
We'll do reptile properly next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone fix every bug that you saw, and it'll be ready.
This work.
Okay.
Yeah. So colon keys works. That's kind of nice.
Can I ask y'all about these namespace keys? Have you ever had a namespace alias collision?
A namespace alias collision.
So like I'm thinking like you have something here's what I'm thinking. Some other source of data, you're getting a map like this. Okay, let's imagine it has more keys, but you're getting something like that.
Okay, yeah.
But then in this namespace that you're in right now, you have aliased X to something. And so you can't type X and get the same thing, right? So you did something like require Clojure.set as X. And so when you do X foo, well, should namespace. I see. So the alias is there, but when you do X foo, does that use the alias?
X foo?
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. You needed a double colon to expand the alias?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Right. So you can do X foo separate from double colon X foo. Yes. Okay, never mind then. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
They apparently thought of that.
One thing I would like, speaking about this, is I would like the ability to, especially in ClojureScript, is to set up an arbitrary alias.
That doesn't have a namespace associated with it.
Yeah.
Or like that doesn't have a lib associated with it.
Yeah. So that you can then, because oftentimes these namespaced keys aren't associated with any real namespace. You're just kind of like, they are namespaced to be something nice and short, or not necessarily short, but just a meaningful name. But there's no lib for it.
They're long, but you don't want to type it every time.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I guess in Clojure you could use alias, right? No?
I don't think so. I think you need
the lib has to exist. Yeah, for alias to work.
Yeah. I was actually talking to Alex about that, about how I would like so I actually shy away from using the double colon in most cases, like just the double colon key. And the reason is the code is no longer copy pastable.
Yeah. That is true.
It depends on what file it's in, like its
I hate
meaning,
that,
and that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
The only time I use them is for something that's like not supposed to leave the namespace. Like, I might do something like get X unknown, something like that, to just have something that like, no one ever going to see that. I just want a marker keyword that I know is not going to be in that map.
Yes.
So
what do? You type them out in full then, I guess. Like you don't use aliases in your keywords.
Like an animal. Yeah.
Well, the benefit though, if you do that, then is you can copy and paste it anywhere, and it means the same thing no matter where you paste it.
Also, it means you can do what you suggest. Actually, you can create these namespaces as you wish ad hoc.
Yep.
They
don't have to be bound into the Clojure namespaces or the Clojure namespaces.
Yeah.
I think
that's kind of annoying sometimes.
Well, I think eventually I'm going to start using I'm going to start thinking of namespaces as these globally unique things. Like until this whole like kind of namespace renaissance that's been happening with all these new things for dealing with namespaces, like namespaced, like this thing up here where it prints out the namespace in front of the map. Until that happened, like I've always just thought of namespaces as a way to organize your code in your little libraries so that it makes sense to you, so that your files don't get too big, basically. And now it seems like we're going to have to start thinking of them as global names, like unique names. And so we're going to have to start putting a domain name in the beginning just to guarantee that they're unique. And that, why not just say this namespace is it forever and start aliasing them and using them like that. Eventually, I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think when you want to start sharing specs and stuff like that, which are namespaced across different parts of your code base, then it makes a lot of sense to do that.
Right. Yeah, like I can imagine people creating specs for stuff like email addresses. And if someone has a popular project called like com.spectaculous, dot specs, it'll have all these cool specs that we can just share and we won't have to redefine each time. And I think that would be really cool, actually.
I think it would be really nice. Yeah.
Okay, so lesson learned here is the double colon is not your friend sometimes. I mean, it's an alluring thing to use, but after a while, you find that
if you use the alias, it's okay, I think.
So if you use like double colon alias / whatever, then that thing, if you copy it and paste it somewhere else, it doesn't mean
that has a different alias. That's true. It has a different meaning.
It's like by using that, I guess any code that has aliases in it becomes contextually dependent on where it is. Yeah, that thing right there.
The nice thing about that is that it gives you an error.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you just typed some long thing, like I typed com.liscast, and then I made a typo.
Yeah.
I could have a typo, and no one would tell me. Food.
Yep.
I'm hungry. And that's a problem too. And we need to start seeing linters that can start seeing that stuff. Like, hey, you used 6 namespaces, and one of them's very close to another one, and you only used it once. Stuff like that. There's no spec defined for that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a warning, but it would help.
All right. Well, I think we should. We've passed the hour mark now, so I think we should probably shut up shop. That was quite good. Eventually got it going. Sorry to everyone who waited, and thank you for waiting. Actually, it was pretty grim, the delay today.
Yeah, we've got about 7 more steps to our process checklist now.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to like say goodbye, Eric? Do we have a goodbye thing?
I don't have a goodbye script. I just wing it each time.
Good. Yeah, it's fine.
Thumbs up, and yeah, whatever you say.
Yes. Click the buttons because the AI needs to know. The big AI in the sky, also known as the cloud. Cloud. They need to know. And people want to find it, and they rely on the cloud AI to help them with recommendations and stuff. So you know how it goes. Subscribe, click buttons, comment, share it with your friends, retweet it, thumbs up +1, like, heart, favorite. Do all the things that the machine needs you to do to keep attention coming toward us. Thank you very much.
Later on.
Thanks for all the feedback for the people that have joined. Actually, I think there's a few people that are very kind of like. I think Adrian is a regular, and I think Peter is too. But there are some people that have joined, and Angus is a regular. But there are some people that have joined that are relatively new, and of course we had Thomas joining as well, which is really nice to see. So really appreciate that. You know.
Yeah, thanks everyone. That's awesome. I mean, I got so much benefit just from watching the chat and learning what people were saying. So, yeah, keep coming back.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. Bring more.
Yeah, it's great.
Start coming up with like bingo games to play with stuff that we say too much, or drinking games, stuff like that. Apropos bingo, I want to see it next time. We got a supercut. Okay, so we're almost there.
Yeah, we're getting cooler.
That was my first supercut.
Yeah. By the way, I made it actually just as a final thing, or for me at least. There was I made a little joke earlier on, and unfortunately Mia isn't here. It was like a political joke about like liberals, which apparently you guys all call libs. And I made a joke: if is Clojure still is Clojure still a language for the libs? It fell about as flat as that. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay. Cut this out.
Okay, we're ending it now. Quick, hit that button.
All right. Later on.
See you guys.